Hey guys, welcome to this week's edition of Whiteboard Wednesday. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about a concept we call total return. And the reason I'm doing that is because there's a lot of commentary around, and there always has been, the pros and cons associated with where you should go with a property that's focused on growth or a property that's focused on rental return. And there's also people pushing their own agendas when they sit there and they talk about positively geared property versus negatively geared property. Here at Finance Path, we prefer to talk about the total return. Let's get the full picture. And only then when you get the full picture can you weigh up the pros and cons of either. And the reality is certain options are going to be better for different people dependent upon where they're coming from in terms of what income they've got coming in and also their personality type. So let's jump over to the whiteboard. So what I call the total return equation is growth. So again, by growth, I mean capital growth. So I'm going to use an example here of a property worth $800,000. So we'll talk about just a property these days, probably 15 k's out from the CBD here in Melbourne. So an $800,000 home growing at 7% per annum, which again is the standard sort of capital growth rate for properties here or houses here in Melbourne. Growth plus yield. By yield, I mean rental return. And again, I've used a percentage there of 3%. Now, you would have noted that underneath there, I've actually got real numbers. I always prefer to work in real numbers. It makes more sense to me because percentages can sometimes be misleading. Take this percentage for argument's sake. The percentage rental return is dependent upon the value of the property. So my 3% rental return on 800 grand, which gives me 24,000 bucks, next year, when the property's worth 856, guess what? That figure goes down. So if you're actually purchasing properties that are going up and have got capital growth attached to them, it's definite that at some point in time, this figure would drop away. So this is the part that I call total return. And in this situation, we've increased our net wealth by 80 grand, but the picture's not that rosy. Then we come across, we've got to deduct the expenses, the costs associated with the property. So here I've used a 5% interest rate, which is above where we sit at the moment. But for ease of calculation, using this example, 5%, which is 40 grand. And then I've got costs of about 0.5%. What am I talking about there? Council rates, water rates, etc. So around about 0.5%, which equates to 4 grand. So what we've got is we've got 80 grand minus 44,000 bucks. So we're sitting at 36,000 bucks. My net wealth has been increased. What I've got here is you've got to add back your tax benefits. And this isn't an exact number that I've given you, but for ease sake and simplification of the formula, I've got a 1% figure there. And what do I mean by tax benefits? Well, in this situation, this property would be considered negatively geared. And by that, I mean the income that's been generated, i.e. the 24 grand, is less than the costs associated with holding it, 44 grand. So I'm down the tube 20 grand as I'm holding the property. Now, the government at this point in time, and it's actually up for, we're in an election campaign, we're running through that sort of period at the moment, talking about whether this is actually going to be an ongoing option or an ongoing benefit. But I'll use it as the here and now. And in this situation, because I'm losing 20 grand, the government will give me a percentage of that back, but it's only a percentage. So for people that turn around and say they want to invest because they want to negatively gear, you're only getting a percentage of the loss back. But nonetheless, it helps. So here, 8,000 bucks is what I would be getting back. So when I add all this up, my total net return comes to about 44 grand, which is 5.5%. Now, how does that stack up? What do those numbers look like? Are they good? Next week, I'm going to use a comparison of a positively geared property compared to a negatively geared property. But if you wanted to get an understanding of what the total return is for properties in your suburb or the median value properties in your suburb, jump on our website. We've got suburb reports that focus and tell you the average total return on properties in your area. So jump onto www.financepath.com.au, click on the suburb report and put the postcode in of the property that you're after and we'll shoot you that report out. Thanks for listening. Look forward to seeing you next week.